My name is Bill Ryan, and welcome to my world. I'd like to talk about something that affects every human being on the planet, and that is hate. And it's a very delicate subject, but it's one that has to be addressed. And I don't mean to preach, I only mean to share information with you to help us understand the origins and what's behind hate. For the most part, hate is a taught thing. We are educated to be to have hate in our lives. When we're little, your mother or your father will say, I don't want you playing with little Timmy next door. He's a Jew, or he's a Roman Catholic, or he's black, or he's a Mexican, or whatever the reason, we're taught. And, you know, we look up at our parents and go, oh, he's a Jew. Oh, that's terrible. What's a Jew? Kids don't know. They're just kids. They understand. We're just people, and that's all we are. But we're taught to hate. And there are very evil beings that use hate as a tool to make us distracted and fight with each other. And that's what I'm going to talk about. Genocide is happening all over the world. It's everywhere. It's happening all around us, and we justify it by saying, well, they have they should be hated. They're bad people. It's a sad thing. I remember when I was a little kid in the 50s, and I had a girlfriend, and she happened to be black, and her name was Linda. She was a sweet little girl, and we were going to get married, and one summer she moved away, and I never knew what happened to her. I have had experiences with white, black, Hispanic girls, and I can tell you that we're all just people. I try not to have any hate in me or any discrimination. We're just people. We're just trying to get along on this planet. And we just happen to have been born into a different colored skin. That's all. So, I met another girl when I moved to Fort Lauderdale, and I was in my teens, and I don't remember her name, but she was a cute little girl. Pretty smile, and she was also black. And I asked her out to go out to dinner. And she said, I'd love to, but it's not a good idea. I was crushed. I was devastated. And in 2005 or 10, something like that, I was writing a book and I was doing research, and I came across an article where in Miami, in Fort Lauderdale, I was in Fort Lauderdale by the sea in that area, the year before I had met her and asked her out, a couple, black man, white woman, were living together, and they were arrested, prosecuted, and found guilty of cohabitation. This was the year before I'd asked her out. Now I understand. I didn't understand before. Now I understand. Sidney Poitier, a great, powerful actor, amazing man. When he was born premature, and they took him to the local psychic, and she held the baby for a moment and passed it back and said, this baby will walk with kings. And he did. It's amazing. So the color of your skin doesn't matter. It's what's inside you. It's your spirit. And that's what I'm asking you to try to leave the hate behind and listen to what I'm trying to share with you. So let's talk about slavery. Okay, slavery is not a black thing. The very first slaves brought to this country, the United States were white people. You can look it up. They are. They were actually Irish, and they were brought here in 1619. So it's not. Blacks weren't the first. It was a little bit later they came. But how did that happen? How did slavery even get started? Well, it's been around for thousands and thousands of years. The Jews have documents to properly enslave other Jews and other religions, and it's just a thing that we seem to do on this planet. I would love to see it end, but it's not ending. It's just marching right along. The American Indians, the indigenous people of the new land, they were enslaved. The Spanish, when they went to South America, they found silver mines, one particular mountain, and they enslaved the people for many, many years to harvest the silver. And they literally worked these people to death to get the silver. And still to this day, the Spanish claim that's their silver. So there's a shipwreck and they're digging it up and they're claiming that's their silver. It's not their silver. It belongs to the people that lived in South America, these native people. They were actually, throughout North America and South America, there were over 800 different tribes. Indian tribes, if you will, for the only word I can think of. So they were little communities, some good, some bad, but nonetheless. And but they're not Spanish. So when people say, "Oh, I speak Spanish," you're not speaking your native tongue. That's not who you really are. You're things have been twisted. The truth has been twisted. So who are the people behind all of this? And they are the followers of the sun god Satan. When you see things going on in the world, that's the ones that are behind it. The Jesuits are very satanic. They were the first ones, as I understand it, to introduce international drug dealing. So if we look at a map, they're up here in England, and they travel around Africa, and they go over to India, and they pick up opium. They would buy or trade balls of opium, and then they would take them over to China and sell them. Well, they would trade the opium for what's called white gold, which was China plates, and they made the best in the world. So, and then they would take them back. Well, as they're traveling back and forth with this, there's warring African tribes, and they have their captured people, and they're just going to kill them. And so the Jesuits said, we'll buy them. So the kings of these warring tribes sold their own people to enrich themselves. And when it came into a nice business, if the king just didn't like you, he'd sell you. And if the king needed more money, he'd gather up his own people and sell them. That's the origins, as I understand it, of slavery that brought black people to the United States. So, you were sold by your own people, for God's sakes. The Civil War. The Civil War in the United States was about states' rights to govern themselves. The individual state had their own money, they had their own laws, their own rules. It was not united. It was independent. And England very much loved their slaves and their plantations. They loved it. And the banking industry, the cartel, wanted control of the whole world, and they had this war for power over the people. That's what it was all about. It was about self-governing, and they couldn't have that. So they crushed the South. But the whole time this is going on, white people are moving slaves to the north, to Canada. They're moving them. There was a great. It was called the Underground Railroad, and they moved many thousands. So, and at their own risk of life and limb. So, this was the origins of that particular situation, and the hate that people have for black people have for white people, because all white people did this to them. It's not true. It's not true. It's gotta put that down. We've got to stop the hate, because the satanic ones want us fighting with each other. And it's just not true. All whites didn't do this. Many whites were enslaved. Many. So to carry this on in your life is insane. You just can't keep doing this. We can't keep doing this. From 1854 to 1929, there was the orphan trains. You talk about slavery. You talk about satanic pedophiles. They literally had orphans running around on the street, and so they would take them, put them on trains, and send them out west. Line them up on the railroad docks there, and anybody that wanted a child could come down and get the, oh, I'll take that one. Oh, that's a pretty one. I'll take that one. God only knows what they did to those kids. But that went on for 75 years. The ones behind this are satanic pedophiles. They're the ones pulling all the strings and making us all dance to their tune. There are words that we can't use because they're offensive. An example is the N-word. Now, all of us try not to use that word, but people do use that word. And one example is the President of the United States. Barack Obama used it on a radio broadcast. He's supposed to be the president of the whole country, and here he is using a very dividing word. It would help all of us, I think, if we all understood the true meaning of the word. Where does the word even come from? And so take the time to look it up, and I believe it goes back to the Romans, and it simply meant black. And there's other meanings of the word that actually mean God. So why the negative part was picked up and not the positive, I don't understand, other than the satanic ones are pulling all the strings. That's why you'll see on the national news, that was just a few years ago, they were bringing up the riots and this happening, and it's just to stir us all up again. Oh, I remember them. No. They're doing this to all of us deliberately. It's got to stop. You don't let it fire you up. So the reason I'm bringing this up right now is because genocide is taking place all over the world, just amazingly, and we're all just sitting back and letting it happen. Palestine is a perfect example of an entire race of people, religion, being wiped out right before our eyes, and we don't do anything. In Africa, pharmaceutical industries go there and experiment on these viruses that they've created, hoping that they can spread it around the world and kill off the majority of humanity. These people are a little sick in the head. So the Chinese plan on colonizing Africa. Did you hear what I said? They are planning to move, and you can look this up, there's many documents out there to support this. They are planning to move 300 million people to Africa. Now, there's 327 million, as I understand it, in the United States. So that's almost the entire population of the United States to the continent of Africa. Not the country of Africa. The continent of Africa. That's a lot of damn people. What are they going to do with the people that are there? What do you think they're going to do with them? You see, here's the United States, or the pharmaceutical industry that may belong to many different countries, experimenting on the people in Africa to wipe them out. Somebody else above is pulling all the strings. That's the satanic ones. That's the ones that want to kill 95% of the world population. Well, that seems kind of insane, doesn't it? Well, you have to understand, and we have to look at it differently. Who are the 5%? Who are the 5% that they don't want to kill, but they want to kill everybody else? Who makes up that 5%? Well, I'll tell you, it's satanic people, it's psychopaths, sociopaths, and pedophiles. That's who they are. If you total all those numbers, it's about 5% of the population. So they want to kill everybody else because you're not a psychopath, because you're not a pedophile, because you have a functioning, working heart chakra. They don't want you. They want to kill you, and that's what they're doing. That's who's behind it, and that's who's causing all the problems. And they do it so cleverly. You want to destroy a continent. You want to destroy South America, Mexico. You want to destroy a country. You move in a superstore where you can buy every product you want for half what it's costing you anywhere else in your local stores. Okay, that destroys that economy, puts all those people out of work, and guess what? They got to move. There's nothing left. Where did they go? Go to the United States. This was planned. This was caused. In Africa right now, the economy is extremely bad in some countries. Extremely bad. All part of the plan. Then you leave the country, in move the Chinese, they buy everything up for pennies. Now they have your country. It's all part of the big plan. So the only other thing that I'd like to cover is what makes us different. Why, we all are born into this body, and this physical body is made specifically to hold our soul, our spirit. And when we enter the physical body, we literally turn inside out. And what we really are comes out. There's no place to hide. We are what we are. And some are old souls that have been here many times, and some are new. and it's technically called compressed learning. So in our extremely long existence as a spirit, we live this short time and see ourselves for what we really are. And if your life is full of hate, get rid of it. So let's look at what makes us what we are. We have a mother and a father, and each one of them give a portion of themselves to make us. And we never quite know where it's all going to end up in a spectrum of possibilities, from here to here. Now, so you could be a male, or you could be a female, or you could land anywhere in between. So you can be born in a male body, but have female qualities. One gentleman I remember had a double Y, and he was a man, he had children, and all of a sudden he was changing. And he became a woman. Not by choice, by his DNA was changing him. So it's not, these are sick people, these are twisted people. It's the way the system works. It's the way the body works. So some females, well, let's take the American Indians as an example. They had 4 types of people. They had warring men. They had men that stayed back and took care of the children and did the cooking. And then they had warring women, and women that stayed back and took care of the children and cooking. So they had 4. And they would say only white people, meaning the people that invaded their country, have throwaway people. So let's stop throwing each other away. We're just people. Let's try to live out this life in harmony and end the hate. So some men and women have learned the skill of balancing the yin and yang energy that's inside you. So you are, I read a good book once, and it was written by, it was called The Book of 5 Rings, and it was written by a retired samurai warrior. I think it was the 16th century. Very deep book, very difficult to read, because he talked on so many important points. I learned a lot from that book. And one of the things he taught was the balancing of your yin and yang energy. He says you have to be balanced. And so here's this tough samurai warrior learning the long sword and the short sword and the medium sword, and cooking, flower arranging, art, watercolors. It's the balance of all life to understand how to function in it. So my point is to try to end the racism. One more thing, it's a joke I came across on television. I was just moved into my new house. I had my new TV, I had my cable, and I'm sitting back and I'm channel surfing. And I'm just clicking along because I had so many channels and I wasn't used to it. And it came up, and all of a sudden, here is this black comedian. And his face pops on the screen and he says, "Who's more racist, black people or white people?" And the camera pans out to the audience, and it's filled with black people but they're black tie, they're diamonds. These are rich, professional people, well educated. You could see that. And they go back to him, and he said, black people, because they hate the N-word too. And they all started laughing. I'm like, what? I muted it, and I sat back, and I'm thinking about, what does this even mean? Why is this funny? I don't get it. 3 days I'm thinking about this. I don't get it. Then it dawned on me. They hate the N-word and white people. That's what makes them more racist. You see my point? They get it. They understand it. They're all on the program. And I mean program, they are programmed to hate. That's what I'm talking about. The programming of all of us to hate each other so we can't see what the satanic ones are actually doing. That's what I'm talking about. So, we understand now we are spiritual beings in a temporary physical body. And you want to see how to change that in your life. I'll tell you how. A university did a study, and they had their students become clerks at stores. And so every other person, the lady behind the counter, she would take their change. In the first one, she'd lay it on the table so they could take it. And the second one, she put her hand under their hand and put it in their hand. So she touched them. Every person that was touched had a positive experience at the store and liked it and would come back. The ones that weren't touched, it was just a store. Doesn't mean anything. Touching another human being is a powerful experience. Try it. Just walk up to someone that you know, or just shaking someone's hand and feel it. Feel it when you're shaking their hand, and feel the energy that enters you. It's a very positive experience. I'm in sales, and one of the things you do is you shake somebody's hand for that positive experience. That's part of good selling, because you're building that rapport. You're building. Doctors do it. The nurses, they come in and they pat you and they touch you. That's not just reassuring. It's because of the positive feeling that we share when we touch each other, skin on skin. So just experience it. Just try it. You know, just accidentally touch somebody and feel what you feel and see their reaction. Another good one is to, and you could do this today. It's very, very simple. We walk around now, we walk right past each other. We don't even look at each other. You watch an old black and white movie in the 50s, and somebody gets almost hit by a car, and everybody runs out to help them. That's what we did. And today, no one would run out, and anybody that was standing there would just get out their phone and record it. Oh yeah, look, that guy's really bleeding to death. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Yeah, I'll put that on my my YouTube. Oh boy, yeah, I'll get a lot of hits. I'll get some new likes. Well, you know, this is trained. This is something we have been trained to become. Desensitized people. So, reverse it. End the hate. Reverse the desensitization. And today, when you go out, instead of walking by people, say hello and watch their reaction. You're walking by somebody, you just say, "Oh, good morning," and watch them. They'll be, "Oh, what? What? Well, good morning." And you can see the expression on their faces change. You have changed their day. You have changed them dramatically in a teeny tiny little way. So, and then you just do that and you continue doing it, and all of a sudden, we're all going to start being a lot nicer to each other. We have to remember there is an intense evil over the planet, and the planet is waking up, and we're all understanding how much we've been lied to, how much we've been defrauded, and how these evil ones are trying to wipe us out. And it's all of us. It doesn't matter what the color of your skin is. It doesn't matter. They want us dead. They have plotted out how many people they plan to kill just to get it started. This is an extremely satanic organization that wants the 95% of us that are not like them dead. That's what it's all about. So end the hate. It's just got to end. I'm not preaching. Just end the hate and admit love. And they can't stand that. That will bring them down. And then the world can start to be a better place. All right, so didn't mean to be preachy, didn't mean to be so long, but this takes time to cover. And I sincerely hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you.